Hello, everyone. I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Esper, fancy vegetables.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching here on YouTube. It's the Commander's Brew. We're back with another massive deck tech here. And if you like what you're seeing, hitting subscribe is the main way, easy way to help us out. It really does a lot. Leave a comment in there as well. That's super helpful. But if you want to get involved directly, you can go over to patreon.com/commandersbrew and help donate to the show directly and help make it yourself by not only providing funds, but also getting access to our Discord and suggesting cards and helping us brew the decks for the show. Every week it's happening in there. It's popping off. So many fun and cool ideas. You'll get some ideas for your own decks in there. That's happened to me before where we're brewing a deck for the show and some card is suggested and I just go, oh, actually I'm going to tuck that one away and use it for a different deck altogether.
We've got, we try to have a channel for the decks we're working on now, but there are other channels where people are just like, hey, I'm working on this personal deck. Can we all chip in for ideas? Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. And it's a lot of fun. So check it out. Patreon.com/commandersbrew. Get up in there. It's a lot of fun. Okay, well, without further ado, we're going to get into this week's deck tech. Sean, lay it on us. What are we brewing with this week?
Yes, this is a massive deck tech. This is Esper Fancy Vegetables. Oh. Before we go too deep, I need to tell you what a vegetable is.
Yes.
You'll recall an old CB vlog we did where we just talked about the vegetables of a deck. These are the things that every meal or deck needs,
right?
But sometimes they're not interesting, right? Like we're talking broccoli, we're talking like carrots. And those are things like draw. Those are things like removal, some ramp, maybe counter spells if you're on blue. The stuff that generally never gets the flash. Like you never build a deck around some removal, right? But it's an essential part that can be overlooked, like vegetables. However, it is possible to make fancy vegetables. You ever had a roasted Brussels sprouts with a little bit of olive oil and Parmesan sprinkled on afterwards? They get a little... Yeah, vegetables can be great and an important part of the meal. So that's what a fancy vegetable is. For this deck, we've tried to avoid kind of the standard. Like, for example, if we were running green, you wouldn't see a cultivate. That's a boring vegetable, right? You'd see something different. So we're in the Esper colors. Who is our commander? We're brewing around Chromium, the Mutable, 4 white, blue, black for a legendary Elder Dragon. Starts off as a 7/7, so we just need them 3 sweet hits to win with commander damage. Chromium has Flash. This spell can't be countered and flying, and you can discard a card, and until end of turn, Chromium becomes a human with base power and toughness 1/1, loses all abilities, and gains hexproof and can't be blocked. So we're not going to really build around this in the sense of we're not intending to make Chromium a 1/1 unblockable and pump it up a lot that way. We're just going to have regular Chromium if we get around to it as a way to like do some damage to control the board, but we're focusing on fancy vegetables. Had a lot of fun in the Discord. We put up a little spreadsheet to organize them because we just had too many ideas throwing around. So let's get into our fancy and neat moves.
Working on a neat
moves. Okay, so should we say neat moves or should we say neat vegetables? Andy, take us away with the first category of vegetables.
Okay, so we are in blue in our Esper build here, so we got to have draw, and you got to have draw anyways, no matter what color you're in, but obviously blue is very good at it, but we're looking to get some interesting different vegetables in here to spice it up a bit, if you will. So one draw spell we're going to use here is Vanish into Memory. 2 white, blue. It's an instant, and it says exile target creature. You draw cards equal to that creature's power. At the beginning of your next upkeep, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you do, discard cards equal to that creature's toughness. So yeah, this is going to be like a super loot if you actually exile something that makes it back in. However, there is the clause of exiling something that doesn't make it back in, for example, a token, something like that, in which case you only get the draw side of it. So there's also definite usage for this that's outside of just drawing, right? Like you might just need to exile a creature for, until that upkeep or until that next upkeep, just to get it off the board for some reason. So this is a nice, it's a flexible card here.
Yeah, and there, I realize there's also a little political move too. You can do this on an opponent's creature that has an ETB effect, like maybe a Ravenous Chupacabra, and be like, "Hey, I'll make you a deal. I can blink your Chupacabra if you make the deal where you're gonna destroy that other creature over there. Make that deal. You get to loot for 2 cards. They get to destroy something that you teamed up on. You make a little bond there. That seems nice too."
Here's something that I have a question about.
Sure.
Let's say I'm exiling something that has a piece of equipment on it that's pumping both power and toughness, let's say. So let's say it's a 2/2, but
Sure.
I'm targeting it because it has a +4/+4 on it. So would I get, so it exits, does it exit as a 6/6? Like you draw cards equal to that creature's power. Well, it's got the equipment on it. That creature's power is 6, right?
Yes.
So then when it return that card to the battlefield under its own control. If you do discard cards equal to that creature's toughness, it's back down to being the base toughness, right? So you would only have to discard 2 cards, right? That's interesting.
That's right.
Something. So look out for that as well. Cool.
Yeah, and we don't mind if those cards, a super loot is fine. We don't mind having cards in the graveyard in this deck.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? It's like looting actually. Honestly, looting is like arguably as good as drawing in Commander, especially for those decks that want stuff in their graveyard. That's just, in fact, it's probably better. So that's really good. Next up, we have Epiphany at the Drown Yard, which is an instant for X and a blue. Reveal the top X+1 cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles, put that pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So this is just like X Factor Fiction, but with one important difference: the opponent will choose which one you get, as opposed to the opponent making the pile.
Yeah, and let's keep our brains. So sometimes it's easy. You're just like, well, if there's 3 good things and 3, or I'll make an even split. Both of these piles are equivalently good, but we've got a few flashback spells in here, so that becomes tough for your opponent. Do they want to put those in the graveyard? And there is the possibility of doing like almost exclusively all the cards in one pile and be like, sure, give me those cards, or throw them all into the graveyard because I'm going to use half of them. Maybe I've got some delve coming up. Maybe I've got a lot of... You can put your opponents in some really tough positions.
I love it. I love putting opponents in tough positions.
Yep.
This is a bit of an underrated card, I think, a little bit, especially in decks where you're looking to put stuff in your graveyard.
Yeah.
And finally here for spicy veggie draw is Dovin's Acuity. 1 white blue for the enchantment that says when Dovin's Acuity enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life and draw a card. And then whenever you cast an instant spell during your main phase, you may return Dovin's Acuity to its owner's hand.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to brew this deck so a lot of the fancy veggies happen to be instant, so we will be able to trigger this an awful lot of times. And if they're like little removal spells, little cheap draw spells, I'm happy to do that during my main phase to get some more draw from this as we go. Once we've had a chance to ramp a little bit, we can certainly spare the 3.
Cool, love it.
So let's talk about ramp. Ramp is admittedly tough in Esper. It's, the white is notoriously difficult to ramp with. Black is good at ramp if you're like heavy swamps, which we are not. And blue's not the best for ramp either. So here's what we're doing. We found some fancy veggies. We're looking at the Locket cycle. For example, Dimir Locket, 3 to cast, and it taps for blue or black in the Dimir Locket case. But we can sack it for 4 Dimir mana, so either blue or black, any combination of 4. We can sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. So later on in the game, maybe, we've got instants. We're holding mana up at the end of turn. Maybe we're like, yeah, I don't need that 1 mana. I think having 2 cards will be a lot better than that. Happy to do that. We also have Savine's Reclamation. This card is, playing around with this card, this is really fun. Here's another flashback card, so this is good in the graveyard. 2 and a white for a sorcery. Return target permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's the old Sun Titan ability on a sorcery. Sun Titan on air, I guess, without
Sun Titan
any
on
legs.
air.
Sun Titan with no legs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you crack an Evolving Wilds, and then you get it back with Savine's Reclamation. That's another land on the battlefield. And when you flash it back, if you cast it from the graveyard, you can copy it and choose new targets. So maybe we've killed a Locket. Maybe we've gotten rid of a land. Maybe we've cycled a land. Now we're putting 2 extra mana-producing things back on the battlefield at once. Decent ramp.
Yeah.
And finally, this was a cool find, I think. I think our Discord for digging deep on this one. Dreamscape Artist, 1 and a blue for a 1/1, and he basically has the ability 2 and a blue cast Harrow. So you 2 and a blue tap, discard a card, sacrifice a land, search for 2 basics, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It does not say put them onto the battlefield tapped, same as Harrow. Instead of 2 and a green, it's 2 and a blue. And instead of the actual Harrow spell going into the graveyard, the card you discard pretends it was Harrow and it goes to the graveyard. This is a fantastic card in blue, and it's honest ramp.
This is bonkers.
Yeah, I think so.
This is wild. How did we never find this card before? This is nuts. It's
know.
just Harrow on a blue card.
Yeah.
What?
I love it. Yeah, it's blue Harrow. It's pretty neat.
It's
and again, like if you're like, it's even better than Harrow, arguably,
That's
because
why.
I can discard a flashback spell to this, and then cast it from the graveyard.
It's from Planar Chaos. That's why.
Yeah.
So it is
Planar Chaos.
part of that set where they mixed up the color pie. So this would very much be like, we don't even, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this creature doesn't exist in green. Like, there's not a green creature that you can do this, is there?
I don't think so. There's the green creature that ETBs with Harrow that they just gave us, but it's not Harrow because they come into play tapped.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
this one doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's a fascinating find.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be allowed.
But we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, there's a little example of some fancy veggie ramp for Esper.
Amazing. Wow. Very cool. Okay. Well, let's take a look now at something that just about every blue deck is going to want to use and take advantage of, obviously, because you're a blue deck. You got to have it. No other color gets it, so you got to include some counter spells. First one we're talking about here is Narset's Reversal. It's blue for an instant. Copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. Now, you may note that I never said the word counter in there anywhere, because this does not actually counter the spell. It just bounces it. It returns it from the stack to its owner's hand, basically. Obviously, this only works on instants and sorceries, but you get to cast it too. This is great. This can be used. This is definitely one of those things that, like, you can use this early in the game as a ramp spell, right?
Yeah.
Which is totally fine because we are in Esper, and as you mentioned, we would like.
Can
to
you
ramp.
imagine on turn 3 doing this on someone's Cultivate?
That's exactly what I was
they've
thinking.
spent
Yeah. It's like that's amazing. Like, that's great. You're setting them back, which is like only mildly annoying because it's not like they lose their spell. They still, they still
Yeah,
get
they
their
got
spell,
it next turn.
right?
You've time walked them.
Yeah, yeah, just you and them.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I think so. That's great. And then obviously later on, bouncing counter spells kind of remand and all that. They do kind of lose their luster as the game goes on a little bit, but sometimes that one turn is the difference between, them going off and winning with this one spell that they're trying to cast, or, you being able to stop it that turn, and then maybe the table gets around at coming at them or something like that. So I love Narset's Reversal in Commander. I think it's really good. Yeah. Next is Spell Swindle. 3 blue for the instant. Counter target spell. Create X colorless treasure artifact tokens, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. And obviously you can they sacrifice for mana. So I love Spell Swindle again in Commander because we are casting big spells in this game of ours, and being able to Spell Swindle, a big spell is obviously amazing. You generate mana that way, but also even if you're Spell Swindling something smaller, like less than 5, right? Obviously, if we Spell Swindle for 5, that's a free counter spell because we still have mana open after it. But even if we hit something for 3 mana or something like that, 4 mana, whatever, you're still generally okay with it. Like, you've stopped the thing that obviously was a big enough threat that you needed to stop it. So that happened. Plus, you gained a little bit of mana back on it. So if you had something else to do at instant speed, that's still available to you. So I really like Spell Swindle. Leaving open 5 mana is kind of a lot. But, if you have a deck that's built towards having a few mana sinks or instant speed moves that you can do, Spell Swindle is an amazing card to have.
I think we're not alone on liking it because that card's just above $2 now.
Yeah, wow, there you go. Yeah, I wonder if it's just Commander that's doing that.
It has to be.
Finally, here we have Commit and Memory. So Commit to Memory. Commit is the regular instance for 3 and a blue. Put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's library second from the top. So this is, again, another counter spell that doesn't actually counter. It throws it into the library second from the top. And that's spell or non-land permanent. So that's added flexibility there. You can actually get something that's already on the battlefield, which is usually something blue struggles with. But perfect, Commit's great. And then you have the bonus of having Memory, which is the sorcery with Aftermath, meaning that you can cast it only from the graveyard, and then you have to exile it. But Memory is 4 blue, and it says each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. So you get this time twister, I guess is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Which is a helpful ability. It not only does it can refresh your hand, it clears graveyards, which can be really great if you're going up against Reanimator or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's there's an escape valve if we need it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're not going to do this if we don't have a lot to gain from it, but it's nice to have on the back of Commit. I do like it.
Yeah.
And so let's move on to some removal spells, another type of veggie. So I tried to pick some interesting removal spells as well. Before we go too deep, I want to just say that I'm not a fan of what you would describe as hard control decks. It's very tempting in Esper to just be just put in all the best removal, all about 6 or 7 wraths. I don't believe in putting too many wraths in decks because A, I like games to end. B, and I want to preserve our meta where creatures are playable. Right? I have played games where everybody at the table is playing 3 or 4 wraths, and it's I brought creatures to this match. What a fool! Why? I like that creature type that card type exists. I want to keep it that way. So my philosophy is to put exactly 1 wrath in every deck because you need 1. But I don't want to put a ton of them in there. So, and the wrath for this one is a flexible, fancy veggie. This is arguably our least fancy one, maybe. This is Merciless Eviction. It's pretty well known. It's 4 black, white for a sorcery, and you get to choose one of these. Exile all creatures, artifacts, enchantments, or planeswalkers. So the traditional wrath side would be the creatures, but if we need to, we can just decide to go for artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers. And if you see the Esper player crack their lockets for some peculiar reason, maybe they're planning on getting rid of the artifacts.
1 wrath in a commander deck does seem a little low to me, although I wouldn't go much higher than it. I'd say I generally put in 2 to 3 depending on what the room is in the deck specifically, but I know that we're both very much lower than the average commander deck, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I err on the low side because I know because if everyone bumps up to 2 or 3, then we're back into the case where it's I wrath 2 turns later, you wrath 2 turns later, this guy wraths 2 turns later, another guy wraths. Then it's they just keep coming.
I think if everyone had 2 or 3, I don't think you'd see it that often. I think those games can still happen for sure, no question. But I think it's less likely to happen. But But I'm with you though. I don't like those games either, and I do think that in general, again, like outside of us, again, like I think running 2 to 3 wraths is very low for the average. 1 is extremely low. I think people are running more like 5 or 6 from what I've seen anyways, from like other people's deck lists and things like that. I think everyone could. I think the whole game of Commander, without getting too much into this,
Okay.
because we got to move on here, but could benefit from it. But there are exceptions. Sometimes, like there are decks in your meta that's like, well, the only way I can stop this person, is if I have a destroy all creatures or an exile all creatures. Like I've seen decks where it's like, okay, well, so nothing works against your board right now except mass exile, and it's turn 4. Like it's so early because your commander does something or whatever it is, right?
I mean, I would argue that deck is not at the correct power level anyway.
Well, exactly. I mean, it depends on the meta. Obviously, there's a lot of ins and outs, a lot of what have yous. But I agree in general. I think less wraths make for still good games because I still do think on average you're going to see at least one of them come out, right? And that's okay. It's good. It's fine to have one happen, and then we all got to kind of get back into it. But it's right. It's those games where they just keep happening. It's brutal. Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
So that's our wrath. And it's flexible. Maybe we don't get the creatures. Maybe we just do enchantments or planeswalkers, get that Super Friends player. This one I think is, maybe it's underrated based on my experience. Maybe it's very adequately rated. It's D-Spark. You're not going to find an Anguished Unmaking in here, but I love D-Spark. Black-white, instant, exile target permanent with converted mana cost 4 or greater. What a fantastic card. Like that. Anguished Unmaking, we know that one. It's black, white, 1, exile permanent, pay 3 life. So that's unrestricted removal, but you pay 3 life. This one's even cheaper, but it is restricted. But honestly, if it's a 3 or less permanent, it's probably not the thing that's ending the game for your opponent, right? I mean, maybe it's a brutal enchantment. Yeah. Maybe it's a Blood Moon. I don't know. We don't play with that in our meta, but D-Spark does a lot of good work.
It could be a commander or whatever, but still, I would still very much argue that D-Spark is going to hit just about everything you're going to want it to. Like, I think it's a very good card for a commander.
Yeah. Another instant, right? Remember, most of these are instant speed. And then finally, rounding it out, we only get to play Esper Charm in Esper decks or with more colors, and it's a great one. White, blue, black, and it's an instant, and you choose one of these. You can destroy an enchantment, that's the removal side of it, or you can draw 2 cards, or you can make target player discard 2 cards. I don't see us using that one too often, but it might come up.
Cool. Well, so let's what are the main dishes? We've talked about our vegetables. These are our sides, I mean, they're very important to the meal. Without these sides, we don't really, it's not a full-on meal, is it? Right? So we got to have the complete meal. So, but we also need our main dish. And I guess these are types of things that are going to, eventually win us the game or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a look at our first. These are some growers as you've tagged them, growers, and honestly, they're showers as well. So first up. Yeah, they show and they grow.
Okay.
Ishai Ojutai Dragon Speaker. We know him or her, I suppose, I don't know, as a very powerful partner commander, but also very effective in the 99 of this deck. 2 white blue, the 1/1 legendary bird monk with flying. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, any spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ishai Ojutai Dragon Speaker, and of course that's partner. Partner's relevant here, though. This is just a creature that is going to get massively big, even just from one turn around the table, as we've often seen with Ishai decks. Like, people don't stop casting spells because you have Ishai out, especially if it's not your commander. Like, they're going to be way less afraid of it if it's not your commander. It is my estimation that an Ishai from the 99 is going to be able to get very much out of control, which is totally fine. This is an amazing one to hit with Vanish into Memory.
Yes.
Ishai goes out with 10 counters on it, draw 11 cards, it comes back in, discard 1. See you later. Really good.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that in response to a board wipe or some targeted removal or something. Absolutely.
Yep. So that's very nice.
And the best part is when they cast that removal spell, you get that extra counter before it all goes off.
When they do, yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Next, we have Oneiriophage, a 3 and a blue. This is a trick. I've never seen this card before. 3 and a blue for a squid illusion. Okay, it's from Modern Horizons. That's why. Flying. It's a 1/2, and it says whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Oneiriophage. So this is like, what's that card? It makes squids, right?
Oh, Chasm Skulker.
Chasm Skulker. That's right. Chasm Skulker, when it dies, you make a bunch of squids too. But it's this ability, not on a flyer though. So this one's flying. It's kind of like Ishai, except it's whenever you draw a card, we're putting counters on him. This is good. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice little card for this deck. I love it. Oneiriophage. This is going to get real big. Flying, obviously, great. And finally, we have Toothy, Imaginary Friend. 3 and a blue. Another 3 and a blue. It's a 1/1. Partners with Peer, but this is Esper, so we don't have Peer anywhere in this deck. That being said, if someone has Peer in their deck, you can target them. They can search for him if you want. Anyways, whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Toothy. Okay, same as Oneiriophage. That's great. And when Toothy leaves the battlefield, draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. I mean, another amazing card to target with Vanish into Memory here. Like,
it's true.
Get it big, watch him leave, draw double that amount of cards, and then again discard 1 when he comes back in.
That's too much. That's too many cards.
Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, Toothy, very good. That's going to grow and become a massive creature, and eventually, after a board wipe or something, you're going to draw a bunch of cards out of it. This is going to be great. I mean, this is just we love the Battle Bond partners, even if you're not partnering with most of them. They're just solid cards and just really good. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Battle Bond. Make another, please.
So fun. And I don't know if anyone ever got to draft Battle Bond, but it was fun to both do drafts with and sealed with. So yeah, love it. Yeah, bring back Battle Bond for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
So let's talk about some dessert, right? What are we having for dessert, right? So we've got our creatures, we've got our veggies. Here's the fun stuff, right? Like the dessert, like the cherries on top. You got to save room for this. We're saving room for Stormtide Leviathan.
Let me tell you, you're gonna need to save a lot of room if you're eating this thing after your meal.
Oh, I'm so full. Do you want a full 8/8 Island Walk Leviathan for 8?
Do you want a
Yes,
fish
please.
that's bigger than like 10 lighthouses? Like, what do you want?
Yeah. It's got Island Walk, so if your opponents have any islands, they can't block it. And guess what? All lands are islands in addition to their other types with Stormtide Leviathan out, so that's going to be true for everybody. And creatures without flying or Island Walk can't attack. Chromium has flying. Chromium's fine. Oneiriophage, Ishai, they've got flying. We're pretty good. A lot of other stuff can't attack, but the big stuff can. Stormtide Leviathan can. We're going to close out some games. And of course, Stormtide Leviathan, their cousin Inkwell Leviathan, they like to show up together. 7 blue for a trample Island Walk that's 7/11, but also has Shroud, so no one can target it with anything, not even you. Inkwell also has Island Walk, so maybe there's no obvious person Inkwell can get through for free on, but here's some creatures that are going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us.
Right. What's a Leviathan? Because it's pictured as being many different things. I know it means I feel like it just generally means like undersea massive creature, right? Like,
Oh no.
What?
Well, you've just opened up you're right. Leviathan just means gigantic underwater creature.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a subtype here.
Yeah, because this one's like Inkwell Leviathan's like a weird crab thing maybe, or some kind of shellfish. Whereas
Like
Stormtide
fish is
Leviathan,
a creature type.
So yeah, exactly. Stormtide Leviathan is without a doubt a giant fish. Like you can see it. You can see its little tail.
Oneiriophage was a squid illusion. So all Leviathans should have another subtype on there, no?
Like a squid Leviathan?
Yeah.
But there's giant squids. Those aren't considered Leviathans for some reason.
I bet you we can find a Leviathan in Magic that is a squid. By the
so?
art.
Ooh, maybe like old. I don't think you'll find any modern set that. I bet you they made that distinction.
I get real frustrated with creature types in this game sometimes.
Yeah, it's a bit much sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, man, give me some order here.
Yeah. Are you gonna do this next one, or is this one me too?
Why don't you take this one?
Okay, so this next one is Echo of Eons. It's 4 blue blue. It's a sorcery. Nice little dessert here. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. So this is, again, another time twister move. It's kind of like the memory part of Commit to Memory. It also has flashback for 2 and a blue. Then it's proper actual time twister from your graveyard. Just 3 mana to do it. Again, just an amazing thing to be able to do. You're going to be able to clear graveyards if you need to, if you're up against someone who's taking advantage of their graveyard too much, or just refill your hand after a while. So it's a good card.
And I'd like to point out that this is the second effect that we run in the deck that does that. Almost all of our fancy veggie removal comes in the form of exiling. Some of the like modal stuff doesn't. But so our opponents won't be getting the things back after we've dealt with it. And we're built to put tons of that ramp removal draw in the graveyard at a fast pace. And so we're just going to shuffle all that back in and keep that train rolling.
It's kind of sweet to like hold up 2 mana, pass a turn. Narset's, what is it? What's it called? Narset's reversal something. Yeah. Pop it back into their hand. You get it. You do it. Your turn comes around, and then you like Echo of Eons. Now they have to pitch that card, and they draw.
Yeah, and hope that they draw it again.
Well, they hope that. Yeah. But yeah, cool.
Great. And then one last neat move I want to highlight is, so we've got Chromium the Mutable, 7 power commander with flying. Let's say, the game goes and we have a free opportunity. We're like, hey, I can get a hit in on player A. Cool. I did 7 to you with my commander. I just need 2 more. If we ever see another open window, if they get tapped out, or if all their flyers, if they have no flyers or no way to block or something like that, we can, on our turn, we've got 7 commander damage on them. We can cast a Karn's Temporal Sundering, even if they have 1 flying defender. It's a 4 blue blue. You can only cast it if you have a legendary. Chromium is a legendary. Target player takes an extra turn, that's me, and return up to 1 non-land permanent to its owner's hand. That's the one thing that will stop Chromium from getting through. And I'll hit you for 7 on this turn, and then 7 on my extra turn, and you've just taken 21 out of nowhere.
Yeah, wow, that's a nice move. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
Old school commander damage by an Elder Dragon. Don't see it too often. Very cool.
So that's the general gist of the deck. A lot of fancy vegetables, right? I really want to thank everyone in the Discord. Before we do surprises and discoveries, I want to just shout out all these names. It was too many names to just track by card by card, because so many cards got dumped out. Mm-hmm. This Discord text channel got so long, like it became unfeasible to just read everything. So it's like, of course, people are going to suggest the same card. I want to thank Max Volume, Chiefy, Sean. That's not me, Sean. There's another Sean in our Discord. Thank you to Valhallan Melta, Kydron, Mr. Big Bents, Jamon, Matt Fox 12, Dinesh, Brain Toad, Clockwork 12, Brandon I, and it's extra special thanks to Valhallan Melta's partner who helped format the Google spreadsheet we were working on.
That's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And so here's the surprise and discovery. I think it's pretty neat. It's Urtai's Meddling. X blue instant. X can't be 0. Target spell's controller exiles it with X delay counters on it. And at the beginning of each of that player's upkeeps, if it's exiled, you remove a delay counter. And when there's no delay counters left, you put it onto the stack as a copy of the original spell. And I gotta say, there is rarely, like, if you use this fairly late in the game, and you'll see you put 4 or 5 delay counters on it, this game will not go another 4 or 5 turns. Many commander games end before, like a lot of commander games are like 10 turns long, which is astounding to me. It feels like they're like 30 turns sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Or even less. I think when the Command Zone came up with all those analytics, they said like the games that they studied ended earlier than that. I think they ended on average in like turn 6, 7, or 8 or something like that. So
that blows my mind.
Yeah, so it just always feels so long because by those late turns, the turns take so long to actually get through. There's just so much to do. But yeah, you're right. Like turn 5, 6, when someone's trying to, I don't know, do something in the game, you Urtai's meddling it. Even for like 2 turns, that's probably enough. basically gives them suspend, which is interesting. This maybe was the precursor to suspend. Like,
It has to be.
yeah, interesting. Love that art too. That weird, like, I guess that's Urtai meddling with the
Staring at the weatherlight.
Yeah, the weatherlight. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's a good discovery. Now that we've done that and we've thanked and mentioned the Discord helpers, it's time for the budget report.
This is where we take all of the cards and we make them fancy. You know, we roast them, a little olive oil, a little seasoning, and the ones that are delicious we keep, and the ones that fall onto the floor while we're preparing go straight to the garbage.
Those are garbage. Get them out of here. How much is this
you
one?
know what? I gotta double check because now that so we put this deck together a little while ago, but now that the special boosters, what's it called? Secret.
Oh yeah, right. Not Secret Lair, but the mystery.
What's it called?
Mystery boosters.
Mystery boosters have come out, and they have dropped a lot.
Yes, I know. I saw some of that just as I was browsing like my own, just looking for some cards for myself, and I saw like I can't remember what card it was, but I was like, wait, what? Like that card's that cheap? And it's because the mystery boxes, and it's like. I've also watched a couple videos. I watched Professor talk about it a little bit at Tolarian Academy or Tolarian Community College. If you haven't seen his videos about this specifically, check him out because he is raving about it. He's loving the set, loving it for Commander, loving it for all formats. Really, he said there's even good reprints for some other formats like Pauper and Modern and stuff. But really, it's another like gift to Commander players because there's like 1,700 cards in the set or something. But like it's got like it's reprinting is Mana Crypt in this set, I think? Or
yes. Mana Crypt is in the set.
Mana Crypt is just
Teferi's Protection
random
is in the set.
reprint. Like it's wild. So obviously you're it's like your odds of getting that specific card are obviously much lower than a normal set. But the number of cards worth more than like I don't know what it was he said, like $10 or something like that. Your odds are way higher to get to get a card that's worth actual money. So I just hope Wizards just keeps printing it because as we were talking about,
it is an unlimited product.
Yeah, right. So we're trying to get a draft set together of it, and it's all sold out everywhere. I mean, that probably has something to do with old COVID-19 as well. But like, once this damn virus is gone, I can't wait to draft some mystery boosters.
I know. Eternal Witnesses are going for like $2 now because there's so many like everything. There's so many good cards. We love it. So
we'll take it.
I quickly jumped over to TCGplayer to the deck list that you can look at the link there down below. Click it through, take a look at the list, or just keep clicking through. Buy some cards through there. We get a slice of that. Anything you buy through that affiliate link that helps us out a lot. It's about as it was when we did it. I guess I did not use too many cards from the mystery boosters, so we're looking at a TCG low of about $60 and a market price of just under $120.
Not bad.
Just under half. Most expensive card in the deck, I think, is very cuttable. It's Kokusho the Evening Star, 4 black for a 5/5 Dragon Spirit with flying. When Kokusho dies, each opponent loses 5 life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. Kokusho is like $12 now. Because you can combo win with it, but we're not trying to do that. Kokusho is just a nice big creature that I'm happy to run. So cut it. You just knock $10 off the deck.
Love Kokusho.
Kokusho is great. Worth the money, but not necessary for this deck.
No, definitely you can save some cash there.
Echo of Eons. This is the Time Twister from the graveyard. I mean, I guess if it's Time Twister from the graveyard, it would be worth a few bucks. Yeah. It would be valuable. It's a $7 card. I do like the idea of recycling everything, but again, I mean, if you want to save the money, if you want to build this on the cheap, you can cut it. And the last card,
you can definitely find other like effects that do this sort of thing too. I think, right? Like cheaper ones. Like you have memory. Yeah, I mean, just similar things at the very least.
Yeah, there's definitely other ones that do that. Yeah. This one, but for 3 from the graveyard, and this deck likes to throw things in the yard. Like Chromium lets you just pitch a card. Whenever you want.
For sure, this is the better version, no question. So yeah.
The next card this card comes in at $5, just over 5. It's Choice of Damnations. This is a hard one to cut because I really think it's fun. 5 and a black for an arcane sorcery. Target opponent chooses a number. You may have that player lose that much life, and if you don't, that player sacrifices all but that many permanents. So generally speaking, you pick the number of permanents you have. If you got 10 permanents, you pick 10. So if I say keep all but 10 permanents, then you don't lose anything. So you have to lose 10 life. But this gets tricky if opponents start to get into the low life totals, and you can just be like, well, what are you going to do? There's not a lot you can do once that's happened. Like, is it a bit win more? Is it a bit picking on someone? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a definitely cuttable card if you're looking to really save the money there. But it is
So
a
you
fun
cut
one
those
and
3
very
cards.
unique though.
Cut those 3 cards and you can make this deck for like $45.
Done. You know what I mean? No problem.
Yeah.
Get those veggies. What about favorites?
Ooh, do you have a favorite?
I really liked Sudden Substitution. This is a card that I've been looking to include in decks that I'm been brewing, and I'm glad you used it here. Sudden Substitution is 2 blue for an instant. It has split second. And what split second means is something we don't see all the time. If you're new to Commander, you might not know this one. It's as soon as the spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So it's stuff you can still tap your things for mana. You just can't really do anything with the mana. So yeah, split second, can't be countered, all that type of stuff. That's what that means. Exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature. Then the spell's controller may choose new targets for it. So you can use this as like a form of a counterspell, sort of, right? Like you can sort of take a non-creature spell and give them like one of your tokens or something, or vice versa. You can cast something small that you don't even care about and then steal their giant monster if you want. I don't know. Whatever. Obviously, it's a little flexible. I think more likely than not, you're probably going to nab a non-creature spell with it and like toss them one of your like kind of small-ish creatures and that aren't really relevant to the board or something like that, I think. But it all depends, right? So I think this is a really fun card. This is printed in Commander set 2019, I think. Yeah, it's just a very unique spell, and I love seeing it. It's great.
Yeah, I went with Trail of Evidence for my favorite. 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, investigate. So you pop out a clue, and you can sack that clue for 2 mana at any time to draw a card. That's great. Draw. Another reminder, we're chock full of instants and sorceries. So, and then we're looping them from our graveyard. On top of that, a lot with flashbacks, so we get 2 casts out of most of them. So we're gonna rack up a lot of clues, and if we are holding up some mana at end of turn, which we are often going to do, we can just turn them into free cards.
Very good. Great. Well, there
you
have
go.
it. Yeah,
that's it. That's the deck.
Esper Vegetables.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I learned to really appreciate vegetables.
It's fun to put these types of decks together because you do find niche cards that are like a lot of times when we're brewing decks, we think of like, okay, I got to include ramp. So what am I going to throw in there? Okay, I'm going to throw in a Cultivate, Kadama's Reach, blah, blah. But it's like, it is fun to use these other cards sometimes because, yeah, they may be not as efficient or whatever, but a lot of times they have specific impacts on the game that you can't get out of, these other things. So those instances where I was talking about where Vanish into Memory is really good. Like, you just don't get that option at all with something like Treasure Cruise or some other type of draw spell that you'd be using. So yeah, you get to stretch your imagination a bit with this, and I love doing that. It's a real blast. So I think decks like this are super fun to play with. You'll impress your friends, honestly, and like that's kind of half of what Commander is, anyways.
Yeah, and honestly, we were having this discussion in the Discord there. It's just like sometimes I just feel like I know Cultivate is a classic veggie because it's so efficient. It's the best at what it does for its mana cost, and I can't deny that. But Honestly, sometimes I get bored of casting cultivates. It's
Yeah.
like I want to cast different ramp spells. Like I
Yeah.
want to cast different counter spells. I'm a bit bored of like Blue Sun Zenith sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like there was a while there where I was using a lot of enchantment based ramp, and that's
Yeah.
mostly because there was good synergies with it, but also partly because I'm just bored of using the same sorceries, the same creatures every time. And like out of that, I have discovered that Wild Growth is a Mox Emerald, like essentially. It's going in. It basically is going in almost all of my green decks from here on out, just because I accidentally discovered that this card is so good and efficient, and it was just because I was stretching my horizons, kind of, and I was just looking for something other than Cultivate or something other than Rampant Growth.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the one. It's the 1 mana aura that goes on a land, and you tap and you get green.
It's in Mystery Booster.
Yeah, it's a great ramp card.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks everyone for watching again this week. Tune in next week. We will have another brand new deck, another vlog, the whole thing. It's going to be back at you. Remember to check out Wizard Tower. If you're in Canada, you can use our coupon code. It's in the show notes below, or in the show notes of the audio show. You can check that out. You can also go to TCGplayer if you're in the United States or abroad, and use our affiliate link, which again is located below the YouTube video or in our show notes of the audio show. Follow that link and then go nuts. You don't even have to buy the cards that are just in that decking. You can surf the site and pick up all the other cards you're looking to get. So that will help the show directly. It'll be great. Thanks so much. Check those places out, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.